Hello, everyone. I want to start the night off by giving thanks to a couple people. One of them being Marianne. I want to thank her for inviting me to speak on this topic. It is a very important and prevalent topic in today's society, and I'm just happy to be here to share my experiences, so I thank her for the invite. Also, I want to thank Pastor Phil for allowing this to take place here tonight. I also want to say thank you to all of you who are here in attendance, because it shows that we're being proactive in attempting to find a solution to what has become a very serious problem for youth everywhere. So just to get a little introduction started, my name is Jacqueline Rodriguez. I prefer to go by Jackie. I will be 30 years old at the end of this month. And while I'm an adult now, and I have a lot more insight as to how to deal with these issues, they were something that plagued me for quite some time. And it goes to show that the effects of bullying are very long-lasting, or can be very long-lasting, if not addressed. So a little bit of a disclaimer. I am not a psychiatrist, I am not a psychologist, nor am I a guidance counselor. But what I am is somebody that has experienced the effects of bullying firsthand for many years. And my hope is that in sharing my story today, that it will encourage young people that are going through these situations that there's another side, and we are eventually going to get across this kind of dark period of our lives and come out on the other side a stronger and better person as a result. So in my experiences, I started noticing that bullying was becoming a bigger part of my life as early as elementary school. It's very interesting, the dynamic of children, let's say when we're adults, what are we worried about? Going to work, paying our bills, making sure our kids are fed. But to a child, often the world is their social status in schools. How they fit in a larger group. And being on the outside of that larger group is damaging and frightening to kids, even from elementary school all the way up through high school. And like I said, elementary school, I started noticing my own feelings of being on the outside group. I didn't fit in very well with the other kids. We did go through some unfortunate financial strife early on in life. And so I would wear hand-me-down clothes that were courtesy of a church that was kind enough to donate clothing to us. It wasn't the most fashion-forward at the time. And so that became an area of where kids would begin to make comments about, the way that I dressed, the way that I looked, the way that my hair was, the fact that I was interested in different things than they were, and it was really persistent into 3rd grade, 4th grade, all throughout elementary school. And now, as an adult, I can say, why didn't I reach out to my parents? Why didn't I reach out to guidance counselors, to teachers, to trusted adults? And the honest answer to that question is, I was embarrassed. And I was ashamed of the fact that these kids were saying these things about me, because I felt in a strange way that if I were to go to a trusted adult, they would confirm that their reasons for bullying me were valid. And so I became introverted, and I bottled everything up. And in turn, I had a very long and tumultuous struggle with depression. It took up a lot of years of my life, and those are years that I will not get back. And in hindsight, I wish that I had someone doing what we're doing today, speaking about these issues and making me feel like it was okay to reach out and to talk to people about this. So I want to say to anybody that's here that has young kids or kids within the age groups that we're targeting today, it's really important to speak to your kids and to ask them how their day was. But when you get that simple, it was okay. Oh, it was fine. It's nothing. Please understand that you know your kids better than anybody. You know your kids inside out. You will know when something is wrong. And I urge you to continue to ask them, to put that sense of trust in them that says, no matter what is going on in your life, no matter how ashamed you feel of the things that are being said about you or the things that are being done to you, I'm here. You as a parent, you are a child's first teacher, you are their first counselor, you are their first coach, you're their first confidant. So you are the first line of defense against the effects of bullying in schools. So that's one advice that I have. Like I said, why I didn't speak out is a kind of, it's a very broad spectrum of reasons. One of them being, and my father is actually here today, this might be a little rough for me. My father is a very hardworking man. And when I tell you I don't know a single person that works harder than him, I really don't. And that was the example that I had as a kid. But when you see your father coming home and he's tired and he just wants to have his meal and relax, and I started to feel like my problems would possibly be a burden to him. I'm not saying that he ever gave me that indication, but this was what I created in my brain. My problems are not important enough to bother him with. So if there's any, it's like so bright up here, I can't even really see who I'm looking at. But if there's any kids here that are currently experiencing bullying, please know your parents are there for you. And please use them as the first source. Talk to them about these things. Ask for their advice. They're there for you in a nutshell. And I wish that I would have done more of that, but now as an adult, sharing these experiences with him, he has made it very clear to me that, he had my back, basically. So another thing I wanted to talk about in terms of parenting, and it's interesting, I don't have any kids. I'm just saying from my experiences as a child talking to the parent. I want to urge all of you as parents to really uplift your kids. Your kid may think, there's nothing special about me. There's nothing that I'm good at. Everybody's always making fun of me. I don't have any talents. Nurture your kids' dreams, their desires, their hopes, and really treat them with a certain level of respect. Because those are the things inevitably that are going to build up your kids' self-esteem. Those are the things that are going to make them understand we all have a gift, we all have a purpose, and all of our lives are valuable. And it's important for kids to know that early on. So whatever it is that they're into, whether it be sports, whether it be music, art, whatever their passions are, teach them that if they are persistent and they will excel. And those are going to be the things about them that people are going to gravitate towards, and that is going to be their source of confidence and their source of self-esteem. So always ask your kids, how can I help? They're going to feel extremely helpless in these situations. Personally, I felt like it was the end of the world in my elementary school mind, that my life was always going to be this way. Nobody was ever going to accept me as I was. No one was going to love me for who I was. And so I just want all of you to know that line of communication should always remain open. Always make your kids feel like they're comfortable to talk to you. And kids, please know you should be comfortable to talk to them as well. So I've spoken quite a bit about being the bullied in this situation. But another issue that I want to touch on is when you see other people being bullied. Let's say you're with your group of friends and you notice that your group of friends is targeting one kid in particular, pointing out their, in their mind, pointing out their flaws, how they're different from everybody else, and they're constantly bringing this other kid down. You have a unique position to be on the inside and to tell these kids that what they're doing is not right. It's all about having the courage to stand up for somebody else the way that you would want somebody to stand up for you. So if you don't feel the courage in order to step up to your friends and say, you gotta knock it off, this is like ridiculous, I would then urge you to anonymously go to teachers, to counselors, and report the behavior, because you could inevitably be saving somebody else's life. Another thing I would suggest is, if you see that one kid that's constantly being isolated, has no friends, is sitting alone at the lunch table, is constantly on the outside of everybody's activities, I would encourage people to befriend that kid. You don't really know how much it's going to mean to somebody to know that they have one person that exists out there that supports them. I have been fortunate in my life to, like I said, I have been that kid that was alone at the lunch table. I have been that kid that nobody wanted to play with at recess. And I have been fortunate later on in life to meet some very like-minded people to myself that reached out beyond what other people saw in me and gave me the chance, and I have built lifelong friendships off of this. And those people that, I didn't expect to get emotional. Those individuals that took that leap of faith to give me a chance basically saved my life. And I know that this is a real situation for a lot of people, where you get so lost in your depression. Really sorry. Okay. You get so lost in your depression that you think that you don't have a way out of it. And those friends that really, were there and stuck up for me when times were down, if you have the ability to be that person to somebody else, that is one of the greatest gifts that you could possibly ask for. Thank you so much. All that work on makeup earlier really went to me. That's great. I want to say thank you to MAC and Sephora for creating cosmetics that will not run. I do get emotional because it is a very touchy subject to my heart, and I have been waiting for the opportunity to speak out on this topic, because if I can take a turn for the very real, it never becomes easy to hear an article, either on the internet, on the news, as often as we are, about young kids that have barely started their lives, that are ending them. And it is not an issue that we can ignore. It's not something that can be swept under the rug. It's something that we, especially as adults, need to confront head on and really get to the source of the problems, because we got to start saving these kids' lives. I'm sure if you go around, you'll meet somebody that either knows someone who has heard of someone that has taken their own life because other kids were mean to them. And we look at it here and we're like, oh, but this is so senseless. This is such a senseless reason for people, for children to die. It is a senseless reason, but it's a very real reason. And whether or not we think the issues that youth go through as adults are trivial, we have to start treating them with a certain level of respect. And I wanted to lend my voice to this cause because while I don't think that, I'm going to get up here and I'm going to change the world, it starts with each and every one of us. We have to use our voice for people who feel like they are voiceless. And really just be the backbone of a movement that says, this is not acceptable. We're not going to stand back and allow kids to feel so victimized that they choose that the alternative to living is the option. This is not a world that I want to live in. I'm sure that this is not the world that you guys have pictured, especially as parents, the world that you've pictured for your children. So if we can get together and really as a unit move forward to changing what has become, in a strange way, it's become the status quo. It can't be like that anymore. I know what I have experienced personally. I know how deeply it hurt me for many years. I know that it has taken a great deal of strength for me to get to the point that I'm at now. That did not happen by myself. That happened because I inevitably had a tremendous support system of people that were willing to stand up for the right thing and were willing to really just help me to push through when I felt like I couldn't push through. And we need to make sure that every single kid that's going through this situation now has that support system. It's just at a point like now where it's so sobering in a way to say it. This becomes a life-saving situation. And if you feel as a parent that you have reached your limits, you don't know what else to do not feel ashamed if you have to reach out for professional help for your kids. It is not your failure as a parent. It is understanding that sometimes there are situations that you are not capable of handling, and that there are people who have many years of experience that are willing to be there to help your kids. I personally am very thankful that I sought out therapy. It took me years to reconcile with some of the things that I had been feeling for so many years, to correct years of thinking that I wasn't good enough for anything, that I wouldn't fit in, that nobody would appreciate me for who I was. And now I can stand here in front of everybody and speak with my head held high and know that I'm not a victim. I am a survivor. So I wish that for everybody. I wish that for anyone that's going through this. And if you are in this room right now and you are going through it, either as a child or as a parent, I feel for you. But I want you to know that there is a brighter future ahead if we just put in the work. Great things are going to happen. I have really come up from everything that I have experienced. I'm a writer. I write poetry. I write short stories. I am a singer. Things that I never thought that I would be able to do, I'm doing them. And I pray that all of you that may feel like because you've been pushed so far to the outside that you don't have any worthwhile gifts, you absolutely, absolutely do. As long as you identify those strengths and know your value as a human being, as a person, no one should ever be able to penetrate that level of self-confidence that you build up for yourself. I wish I could say that the bullying will stop. It doesn't necessarily. You can enter your workplace as an adult and still experience. But once you build up that level of confidence in yourself, you know your worth, you know your value, and that is what you put forth into the world. And maybe one day you'll be able to share your experiences with somebody that is going through it, and you can empower that person. It's a remarkable feeling. I get goosebumps up here because I mean it's just, we all have the ability to touch people's lives, and because this is such a strong issue, I really feel that, you know, us focusing our strengths on this is going to produce some really amazing results. So on that note, like I said, I again want to thank all of you guys for being here and for being present and for understanding that yes, this is an issue that needs to be dealt with, and taking your time. Because your time, I know everybody's time is precious, everybody's got a million things that they need to be doing, but you're here right now. And if your kids are here with you, you know what, kids, you might want to give your parents a little bit of a round of applause too, because, you know, they deal with a lot. So it was weird because I was told to fill 20 minutes and I have no idea how long I've been up here talking. So on that note, I want to in a moment turn things over to the panel. But like I said, I am a musician, and so a lot of the inspiration that I draw comes from songs and things that I hear. And there was a song that came up that really hit me in the heart. I will not sing it for you, but I will. I'm gonna just share a couple words from it. And it says, "I am not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are. But I won't let them break me down to dust, because I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious." It says, "When the sharpest words want to cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, I'm gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, but I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Watch out, 'cause here I come, and I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen. I have no apologies. This is me." Thank you, everybody.